Welcome to What the World Needs Now with hosts Tom Whisinnand and Josh Monroe. We hope you're able to leave feeling encouraged and ready for another day of changing lives in the field of education as we speak with inspirational teachers from across the nation and world about what keeps their spark lit.
On this episode, Woodrow Price, a multi-award-winning educator from Mississippi, shares his passion about inspiring a whole community through innovative school programs. Without any further ado, Woodrow Price.
Cool.
All right, so Woodrow, thank you so much for being with us. We are excited to be able to sit down with you and talk with you. For those listeners that don't know who you are, can you give us a little bit of an elevator pitch? Who are you? Where are you from? What are you about?
Hello, everyone. My name is Woodrow Price. I am from Vicksburg, Mississippi. That's on the banks of the Mississippi River. I currently reside in Vicksburg, Mississippi. I am a 14-year educator where I serve as lead teacher at Warren Central Intermediate School.
Awesome. And lead teacher, I know that was a new term that you threw out at me. Can you just tell us a little bit about what that means? What's the lead teacher?
Sure. A lead teacher is a position that's outside of the classroom, but you serve on the school's leadership team. You serve as a liaison between the teachers and the administrators. You are the voice in meetings with for the teachers. You have the autonomy to go into the classrooms, evaluate teachers, provide the teachers with good feedback, assist them with finding resources, as well as working with the children.
That's awesome. You have a lot of hats you wear, Woodrow. Like you're busy, really busy with teachers and administrators and kids. You've won a lot of awards as an educator. You've done a lot of fantastic, amazing things. But where did this all start? What made you interested in education, and what took you down this road?
Why I became interested in education was actually from a non-traditional standpoint. A little bit about myself. I grew up in a single-parent home. I had teachers to tell me a lot of things of what I could not do or what I could not accomplish. I experienced bullying. So as a result, I failed 4th grade, I failed 5th grade, 6th grade, and 7th grade. So when it was time to select a major of what I wanted to be when I grew up, I decided to become an educator, especially an elementary educator, because at elementary, that's the foundation that our students need. And I chose that field or that area of education to change the system that once failed me. So since the teachers told me what I could not do, I wanted to turn it into a positive and show them what I could do.
That's an awesome story, Woodrow. That is inspiring to say the least.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm gonna guess you share that story with your kids, right?
Every year.
Right on, because that's important for kids to know that we're human. We've made mistakes. We failed classes, tests.
Mm-hmm.
So right on.
Tons of adversity. My gosh.
Mm-hmm.
That is so powerful. Thank you. Thank you for
it's
sharing.
all about what we do with the situation. Do we sit and dwell in it, or do we pick up the pieces and move on?
Absolutely.
So Woodrow, as you've gone through this 14-year career, what is it that keeps you inspired? Because after 14 years, that's a long time. There's got to be some spark that keeps you coming back.
Mm-hmm. One thing that keeps me inspired is looking into the faces of my children. Any child that I see every year, I have a lot of children that always capture my heart. And what keeps me inspired is to think about those children, think about the numbers of children that maybe grown up in single-parent homes, to think about the children that may have incarcerated parents, to think about those children that may be struggling in the classroom and don't know how to ask for help, to think about those children that may be bullied. So what inspires me most is to know that I'm making a difference in the lives of children, not just academic, but also when we look at social emotional learning, and are we making a difference in the whole child, not just the academic portion of a child.
Wow. You really are like not just an inspiring teacher, but an absolutely amazing, amazing human being. And it really comes through the screen, and it comes through in everything you say. And inspiring and strong are just some words that I think come to my mind as I just listen to you right now, Woodrow. Are there, how do you go about, you said you take into account the whole child, and
Mm-hmm.
that's really important. How do you go about investing in building the relationships that are so needed in success at your school, Woodrow?
When I go into the classroom or into any school, I have in 14 years, this is my third school that I've taught at. And I always try to find ways to be accessible to the children and find things that may be needed within that school that does not necessarily focus on academics, but focus on the whole child. At one school, we had an abandoned area that was outside of the library, and I thought about a unique way to make that area usable for not just children, but for teachers as well. So with that in mind, we created an outside library. Other projects that I have helped initiate every year, pre-COVID, we try to establish Christmas campaigns where we let our children know that it's more to coming to school focusing on the academics, but the school should be a safe haven. So we've offered free haircuts to our children. We've offered clothes closets to our children. We offered toys for Christmas to the entire student body. It's all about building relationships. So when we look at inspiring children, we need to think about the importance of those relationships. And if we look at Maslow and Bloom's, they always say it's Maslow before Bloom's. Before you can teach a child, before you can deal with the academics of a child, you must first capture their hearts by meeting their basic needs. And when children see that you care, they won't have a problem with learning from you.
Right on. When they know you care, they'll run through walls for you.
Mm-hmm.
I think what I love most about that story that you're sharing is you're not just investing in your students, but your community as a whole too is benefiting from all the wonderful programs and initiatives that you're starting.
Yes, sir. Because at one time I remember when there was the police brutality going on, and a lot of students were afraid of the police officers. So one thing that I initiated at my school was a program called Real Men Read. And with Real Men Read, we invited males into the school, and more specifically, we targeted police officers, we targeted judges, we targeted lawyers. And when they came into school and told the children about their careers, they also read to them, and it also created an atmosphere where the children were able to learn from those police officers, and they wouldn't fear them anymore.
That's powerful. Absolutely powerful. The community building that you do is it's so necessary. I really commend you for doing that, because that's something that I think communities across the nation could really learn from, is incorporating that approach. Great job, man. That's awesome.
It really is, and it's easy for both sides of the aisle to be able to complain about different things, but you're helping to mend that bridge and to bring people together in a really powerful way.
And also, as elementary educators, our children do not see males within our schools, and this is kind of like a twofold approach. This program, Real Men Read, also allow children who are growing up in single-parent homes to be exposed to male role models, whether they are male or female. So the program is a win-win on both sides.
That's awesome. Man, you really do wear a lot of hats. You really have your hands in a lot of buckets, a lot of things going on. And I got to imagine with all of that going on, it's taxing on you. What are ways that you remain inspired? Because we all go through it, especially this year. We all hit those dips and those lulls. What are ways that you help keep yourself inspired?
One way I keep myself inspired is to focus on my why. Why did I go into education? What can I do to be a change agent? I like to in my spare time, I like to read. I'm a lifelong learner. I'm currently in school myself. I become inspired by going to church, and church has really inspired me to understand the value of what it is to be a servant and to walk like Jesus walked as being a servant leader. I also like to read. I love TED Talk. I like to listen to those videos, and those videos kind of inspire me because everybody that goes through TED Talk, they all come from a struggle. And it shows the importance of perseverance. So that's what inspired me. And my children, believe it or not, they inspire me each and every day because a lot of the children that I service, low income, they live in a high poverty area. They have incarcerated parents. And no matter what their situation is, each and every day they get up, they come to school, the parents are sending the best they have, and that inspires me to want to give more.
Yeah, I mean, I think you hit the nail on the head. That the parents are sending, that they're sending their best. That I haven't met a parent yet who says, "I'm just sending you half of my kid. I'm just doing half of my best, Woodrow." And for educators, I think we really need to embrace that, and we need to really champion. And it sounds like you have. So with everything going on, the low income, the poverty, the stress, the strain of remote learning, in school learning, what are some of the big issues, the big rocks that education as a whole is facing, in your opinion?
Right now, it seems like the people at the top are not listening to the people at the bottom. And the people that are in the trenches know what it takes to move our education system forward. One issue, major issue that a lot of teachers may agree with me now is in the state of Mississippi, in spite of about 90% of children in Mississippi living in poverty, about 90% of children not having access to internet. Right now, we have about 50% of our children that are coming to school in a school that serves about 450 children. About half of that number are coming to school every day. We have another, about a third of our children, we don't know where they are. They are not being instructed, and yet you still want teachers to teach. You still want students to learn in the midst of a pandemic. And at the end, teachers are being blamed for when students are not performing well on these high-stakes testing. So one major issue I would say would be high-stakes testing. And the demand is placed on teachers of being held accountable for children that they're not giving their 100% to because of various reasons.
Yeah. I agree 100%. I did an interview for Nebraska Loves Public School, and that's pretty much what I spoke to too, is it's the high-stake testing that it's exhausting for us as teachers because we're wearing all these hats that you talk about, and then we get all of this blame, but nothing's ever taken away. It's more plates put in front of us, and yeah, you're right on with that. Unfortunately, I don't see it going away anytime soon.
Because when you look at testing now, testing has become, are we really focusing on educating children, or are we focusing on the money that's attached to testing? And if testing go away, that means there are some people that their pockets will be short. So are we really focused on children learning, or are we focusing on children testing?
And I hope we can move towards children learning, and not just as scholars, but as people, as Arlinda said in our last episode, as people that are getting ready to inherit society. And hopefully we move towards more growth type tests. I know in the district Tom and I work in, we take the MAP growth assessment, which isn't standardized, and it helps measure students' growth. And I think assessments like that are vital. But I'm with you on the state testing, the high stakes test. I'm good with those being out of education.
Woodrow, I'm going to go off script here a little bit, and I'm just curious. You have half of the kids in school with you. You said you have another third of the children that may be somewhere remote learning. They may be at home. They may be somewhere else. What happens when this pandemic is done and the all clear is given for all children to be back at school, and we're grouped again in third, fourth, fifth, sixth grade, and we have these huge learning gaps? What are we going to do as educators? How can we possibly educate somebody that's been in school with us and somebody who was gone for half of the year?
That's a problem that we all have. And I probably would recommend that the students that are coming to school, try like group them together as close as possible. And the children that are just coming in, possibly group them together. And that way we can move the ones that have been coming forward, and those that may be struggling, they can be placed in a group to give them the interventions and remediation that they need to be successful.
I think that's what we would have to do as well. I'm trying to wrap my head around sooner rather than later. I think that'll be happening. And my gosh, then you talk about more plates being added and more issues being put on plates of teachers and administrators as well. But I'm trying to get the old noodle kind of going around what's coming down the pike. So thank you. I think grouping kids is probably on the horizon. I just wonder what your take on it was.
Because if you look at children that struggle most, those are the kids that's living in poverty. They may not have access to the resources that children in high performance schools may have, and like the trenches are getting deeper for them. So we just have to go in with our sleeves rolled up and do the best that we can do, and accept the challenge that's faced before us.
Yeah.
And you know what I'm kind of worried about too is when all of this is done and we all come back together, not just that academic gap, but that social and emotional gap that's going to be there for those kids that haven't had those friendships, the connections with teachers. And it, I mean, I feel like this option will be here for at least this school year. So we're looking at kids being possibly out of school for a year and a quarter. I'm worried about that part too. It's a scary thing for us to start thinking about, but you and Tom are both right. It's something we gotta try to start wrapping our heads around.
So one thing that my school superintendent recommended, he was like, at least once a week, reach out to your students, allow them to come on Google Meets, and just have a conversation with them just to see how they're doing. What can the school do to help them succeed? Allow them to see their classmates that are traditional. And we have found that has been working, because even though you're virtual, those that are participating, they still feel connected to the traditional classroom setting.
That connection, whether it's virtual or in person, I think is vital. And believing that the connection will be there, that the connection is powerful. I think that's absolutely correct. Your superintendent's onto something, for sure. Woodrow, you've done a lot. You had Real Men Read. You started the outdoor library. What are some other kind of interesting or innovative programs or apps or curriculums that you've used to really reach and inspire the kids you work with, the students that are in your school?
One program, the first district I worked in I started working there in 2007. In about 2013, we went through a program called Capturing Kids' Hearts. And that program was life-changing because it gave us the opportunity to reflect on who we were and to reflect on the needs of our children. And with this program, it focuses on social emotional learning, as well as you see how the culture and the climate of your school changes when using this program. Another program that we were trying to go through was Leader in Me. My entire school district is a Leader in Me school district. We have the first high school in the nation that became a lighthouse school. We have about 3 or 4 lighthouse elementary schools. And what this program does, it allows you to reflect on self. And as the educator, before I can lead my children anywhere, I must first focus on myself. And after I learn myself and how I influence the people around me, then I can teach my children about the Lead in Me program. And with the Lead in Me program, we are now making our children career and college ready. They are ready to go out into the workforce because they have the necessary skills they need. They know how to communicate effectively. They know how to make decisions. They know how to help see the needs of other people. It helps them with their critical thinking. It helps them become all-around leaders. So when they go into the workforce, and I'm next door to Tom in the office, I don't like Tom, but even though I don't like Tom, I'm equipped with the skills to know, okay, how do I work with Tom? And know that the world is not just centered around me, but it's inclusive of everybody. So those 2 programs are not academic programs, but if done correctly, they can help with student achievement.
I love that, because our school is not a Leader in Me school, but I've read Stephen and Sean Covey's books, and I incorporate the 7 Habits of Highly Successful People in my classroom. And ever since I've started doing that, I have seen a huge change in when my children leave. The way that you hit it on the head, the way that they lead, the way that they're able to talk in front of others, the way that they're able to empathize and be compassionate with others that they don't like or that they don't understand their situation. It is a really powerful program that helps kids for life, not just for school, but for life as being well-rounded people.
Because one thing I noticed about the program, like we have children and children will be children. And if a child encounters somebody else where they have a conflict, instead of trying to fight, they have learned ways to work out their problem. Even if the problem is beyond them or bigger than them, they know how to go to an adult and say, I'm having a problem with this person. And they know how to come in and talk the situation out and move forward. So the program is very beneficial to not only the students, but we see a decrease in the discipline.
Absolutely. That's another thing that I've noticed in my class, is that discipline issues have gone down since using it.
I think it's vital too. I love that you brought up a couple different times. It is about the adult doing the reflecting on their practice and the environment that's created in culture in their school. Because I think a lot of times as educators, we get a curriculum that it's great for kids, it's wonderful for kids, but we're missing the piece that it starts with us as educators. And so I love the Leader in Me, because like you said, it does so beautifully make you reflect on what you believe in, your qualities and your, I think that's fantastic, Woodrow. That's awesome. That's great to hear.
And I also like the last poem, they added a new habit, find your voice. And oftentimes we have children that are afraid to challenge authority, or they have a problem with if the teacher said it, make it correct because an adult said it. And with finding a voice, it allows them the opportunity to make decisions and to justify why they chose the decision that they made, and how to approach the adult when things may not be going your way. So with finding your voice, that's another powerful tool with Leader in Me.
I love that. What a great extra habit for kids to work on and to practice. So Woodrow, we're curious, as teachers feel all of this pressure, they get all of these plates added. What advice would you have, or what advice would you even give to people that are going to go into the field of education, to either be re-inspired and reignite that spark, or again, as they get ready to head into education, to just feel a path of inspiration?
All right, for those that may be thinking about going into the field of education, those that may be in the field of education and thinking about leaving, I just want to tell you that you are a diamond in the rough. You matter. When you look at a diamond, diamonds are created under pressure. And regardless of that pressure, diamonds have to go through the pressure to be formed. So you are truly a diamond in the rough. You do not have a clue of knowing how powerful you are. And once you go into the classroom and you see students that may be struggling, you may see students that may be at the end of verge of graduating and may not be able to. Think about those words of inspiration you told them, that they are more than conquerors, that broken crayons still color. Think about the importance of refueling yourself, the importance of reflecting, the importance of refocusing, and realize that in education, we're on a bus, we're on a journey, and we realize that the race is not given to the swift nor to the strong, but to those that endure to the end.
It is. It's not a sprint. It's not a sprint. It's a marathon.
It's not a sprint. It is.
I love that analogy of how diamonds are created. That's a great way to think, because 100% right. We have a lot of pressure on us, but beautiful things come from pressure. That's how we grow. That's how we grow.
I agree.
Woodrow, I have so loved getting to know you and hearing your story, and everything from when you were told what you won't do or what you won't become to this award-winning, amazing, powerful, inspiring teacher and educator that you've become. I thank you for taking your time and talking with Josh and me. And the last question is, in your opinion, as this amazing educator that has been through everything, what does the world need now?
What does the world need now? When we look at what the world needs now, it is time for the males in America to step up and be the men that we have been called to be. Even looking at the African-American male, the African-American male makes up 2% of the teaching profession in the United States. Our children need role models. Our children need people they can look up to. And it's time for the males to step up and take our place in society.
I like that. And I gotta be honest, because when you say that African Americans males only account for 2% of educators in America, I didn't have an African American teacher until I was in grad school and college, and
Wow.
to me that's really disappointing. My stepdad's African American, and he's an educator, and we've had that discussion too. And so Woodrow, I kind of want to go off script a little bit again. How can we help get men into the field of education? Because it is something that's needed. You've talked about it. There's so many kids growing up in single parents, and a lot of them are missing their dad. So how can we help funnel great male role models into the teaching profession, in your opinion?
One way that we can help funnel males into the teaching profession is starting early, starting with high school students, exposing them to the field of education on the college campuses creating teacher prep programs that are geared towards males, not just African American males, but males in general, and try to find ways to provide them with scholarships. Try to increase the pay of teachers nationwide. Because a lot of males, as breadwinners of families, don't go into the teaching profession because of the pay. And as a breadwinner of your family, it's kind of difficult trying to make ends meet on the salary of a teacher. So try to make our salary, increase our salaries. And when you increase the salaries and when you show the males their worth, they will be more prone to go into the field of education.
Man, Woodrow, this has been awesome. I feel like we could probably keep this going for another hour or two.
I've enjoyed.
Thank you so much. I really, really appreciate you taking your time and letting us into your world a little bit and sharing with us what the world needs right now, Woodrow. So all the best to you and your students and your teachers and the whole system down there in Mississippi with COVID and everything. My gosh.
I thank you all for having me, and I wish you all the best in your journeys for the rest of this academic school year.
Thank you, Woodrow. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, that's our show. Thanks for tuning in this week. Hopefully you're ready for another week of changing lives. We are so thankful and appreciative that you took time to listen to our guest, Woodrow Price.
We hope as you head out that you remember how beautiful diamonds are and the extreme pressure they endure. When you feel the pressure might be more than you can handle, reach to your why. Remind yourself that you're changing lives each and every day. Have a good one.